So the Biden administration has just admitted to the fact that they made a massive mistake. And this is all coming while cities are feeling a crunch from their budgets, while parks are closing, schools are shutting down, children do not have a place to go after school. These after school activities, these after school daycare centers are shutting down because of funding. Now, I want to break down what the Biden administration is doing today and what many people say could be too little, too late. But they're doing it because we have an election in just a handful of months. So I'll break all this down in just a moment. But all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So if you are like most people, you turn on mainstream media or you click on an article that you see online and you may see something like this, where migrant crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border have plunged by 54% from record highs. Now, you look at that number and you say, wow, it went down by 54%. The Biden administration must be doing something right. Well, yes and no. The Biden administration is having a major issue, and the issue is they continue to let more people into the United States, but we do not have the resources to go around here in the U.S. But look at this. It says during the first 21 days of May, U.S. Border Patrol agents recorded a daily average of approximately 30,700 apprehensions of migrants between official ports of entry. That represents a 54% decrease from the 8,000 daily average in December. Obviously, that's a lot of people entering the United States illegally in one day. Well, guess what? The Biden administration wants to shut that down. President Biden is preparing an executive order today that would shut down asylum if the daily average of 2,500 migrants arrive. Here's the problem. We are already seeing about 3,500 per day, which means if President Biden signs this executive order, it would shut down the U.S. border today. Here's what you need to keep in mind. This shuts down the U.S. border at legal ports of entry, not in between legal ports of entry. Here's the reason why this is such a big deal. It says migrants would be returned to their home countries or Mexico and be ineligible for asylum consideration once the limit is surpassed, according to the officials. Now, it says the administration has been considering the move since the failure of bipartisan border legislation this year that would have enacted a similar trigger to shut off asylum access at times when U.S. authorities become overwhelmed. Keep something in mind, though. What President Biden is proposing today, or what the reports are, is a number of 2,500 migrants per day. Okay? The reason why that is so important is because before, that number was, I believe, 5,000. So if 5,000 people entered per day, then he had the authority to shut the border down. He didn't have to do it, but he would have the authority to shut it down. So now he has the executive order that would propose 2,500 people per day. That is half. And that is what Republicans were asking for in the previous legislation as well. However, President Biden didn't go for it. But we got an election coming up. So now it's more important. Let's keep reading. It says people with knowledge of the plan said they expected the cap to be set at a daily average of 2,500 illegal crossings. Standard asylum processing would resume when the number drops below 1,500 crossings. Here's the thing that you need to keep in mind, though. How do we count 1,500? How do we count 2,500? Well, this is supposed to be at legal ports of entry. Okay? Look at this. It says illegal crossings along the U.S.-Mexico border have averaged more than 3,500 in recent weeks. So, this is illegal crossings along the U.S. border, not illegal ports of entry. So, the hard part here is, how do we get this figure? Because many people just turned a blind eye and just let people walk across the border. But this is causing a lot of cities to panic. Okay, Denver is having a financial crisis. Chicago, a financial crisis. New York, a financial crisis. San Diego, well, let's just put all of California in there. Again, a financial crisis. They can't afford this. Even something that most people don't realize, New York City is rethinking their sanctuary city status amid this migrant flood. So many people are going to New York. They're entering into the United States, in the U.S., Mexico southern border, and then they make their way into Texas or to California, and then they go up to New York. For most people, when they make their way into California, they stay there. The reason why is because they have good weather, or normally. They have, a high minimum wage, which is good, even though many people are working illegally. And they just have more opportunities. They have insurance. They have free food, and in many cases, free housing. So why leave? Well, New York has a lot of that stuff as well. And they're giving you money. So again, it's an interesting time right now. But again, many lawmakers are questioning whether or not this new executive action by President Biden today is even going to work. This also is one of the reasons why Arizona has a proposal to let the local police make border crossing arrests. And this is set for lawmakers' final vote. Because if we see many people are entering into Texas, which Texas, again, has a lot of that locked down, right? They have their own border, create their own wall. But what about Arizona? What about New Mexico? What about California? Well, Arizona says, well, if people continue to cross our border, we're going to let the local police arrest them, and then we'll turn them over to Border Patrol, and most likely they will send them back. But that's their plan. I want to play you this, though. Okay? This was from Fox just the other day. But listen to what this person is asking and what they're saying. Just look at this.
Is anything he's proposing, these maintaining crossings or these new executive orders, will it do anything to stem the flow of illegal migrants?
Look, it's quite a mess, and people need to understand that mess was created by this administration. And if they were going to allow so many individuals to come into the country and ask for asylum, they surely had to have come up with a plan for those individuals that would not have an actual asylum claim. And once again, they didn't even plan for that.
So what he's saying right there, and we'll get to the rest of this in just a minute, but what he's saying is, if the Biden administration said that, okay, we're going to let people into the U.S., and if they have an asylum claim, great, right? We will then put them on their way, and they can come back to the judge at a later date, and we will, grant them asylum. Well, here's the problem. They only planned for one aspect of it, that yes, if you do have an actual asylum claim. But what about those that are claiming asylum, but based off of our policies here in the U.S., they do not qualify? Well, the issue is they stayed here in the United States. In many cases, they stayed here because, you can't. How do we send them back? We didn't have that plan. Let's keep listening.
So when you start talking about mass deportations, that's obviously something that this administration should have thought of in the first place. Not everyone that's asking for asylum has a real asylum claim. In fact,
now, one other thing that he just touched on was mass deportations. Former President Donald Trump just this past week has said that that would be his first course of action. His first course of action is to reverse all this immigration crisis, right? The issues at the border. He's going to reverse it. There will be a mass deportation event. That right there, he said, this is going to be bigger than what President Eisenhower did. Okay? This could be the biggest deportation event we have ever seen. Now, let's keep listening.
In fact, the majority of them don't. So somebody's got a plan for them to go to the actual court case and show what their claim is. And unfortunately, you're just getting more smoke and mirrors by this current administration right now. I mean, you remember they had that FAST app at the border. That didn't work out.
So he just got done talking about the FAST app to allow people into the U.S. Well, it didn't work out. Okay, that was garbage. But here's something that he just said. He just said that they didn't have a plan, and they would send people to a judge, and that was the goal. Is you get in front of a judge and they'll tell you, yes, you're granted asylum. These are the next steps. Here's your paperwork, whatever, and send you on your way. Here's the issue. We do not have enough judges. We don't have enough courtrooms. Okay? And we don't have enough accessible judges and courtrooms either. You think about this and all the courtrooms and stuff all around the United States. Well, as people start to spread out, for the majority of them, they have to come back to California, come back to Texas, come over to New York, right? And so they're not all over the place. But here's the biggest issue. The Biden administration has been saying that, well, let's just keep letting more people in, right? If they have a legal standing as far as asylum, okay, great. Let's keep them here in the U.S. And then we'll process them, and eventually we'll get them a work permit. We'll allow them to work and stay here, and they'll be taxpayers, and eventually, like Democrats want, they will be legal voters. Well, here's the issue. If we don't have enough judges in courtrooms to process all these people, that means they are pending asylum. They are pending for potentially years. Right now, or based off what we've seen recently, there are millions of people that are in a backlog just waiting to be processed. It's not going to happen this year. It's not going to happen next year. And chances are there will be a deportation event before all those people ever get processed. So again, this is a big issue, but the reason why I bring this to your attention is because, like this person was just saying, smoke and mirrors. We have an election coming up. Of course, we're going to try to do something that the American people say is a priority, which is immigration. Let's keep listening.
Again, I think it's just them reaching out, continuing to baffle the American public because they realize that, they created the mess and elections are coming up.
So simple as that. The Biden administration created the mess. Many people know that, but until we see some action, until we see something done, everyone's going to question whether or not the Biden administration even knows what they're doing. So I just wanted to share this with you because, again, this is big that President Biden and the Biden administration have officially recognized that they created the problem. Now they're trying to fix it, but some say it's too little, too late. So we'll see what happens later on today. We'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But my expectation is this new executive action from the Biden administration might create more problems. Some say it's going to create more problems for children and for families, but we will see. So as we get more information on this, I promise I will bring you all the latest news and updates. But as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.